Welcome back, guys. We're here to watch the defeating of the chickens. Lower your chickens here today, as it was very one-sided for KT over BBQ in game number 1.
Well, we wanted free chicken, and we got free chicken. Unfortunately, it was both the edible kind and BBQ Oliver's rolling over to KT Rolster, just dominant in this game, reminiscent of Kingzone in the second game against SKT. There were some mistakes. They certainly were having a bit of fun on the Rift, especially Pawn on his birthday. But it was very one-sided. Ever since IgNar had a brain explosion going for a Demolish proc at level 2, and the Gathering Storm only got 2 procs, Ghost had no fun this game at all. The fun police was Pawn in this particular time. I don't know who the MVP will be.
Yeah, I don't know. We were discussing this before, but basically anyone could be. Like, it could be Smeb up in the top lane for doing what a good Jace does to Gnar. It could be Mata for playing a good Ornn and hitting every single ultimate. It could be Score for setting up a lot of the kills. Pawn had a lot of damage. Probably not Pawn, though.
They don't let us vote here in Spo TV, so I don't have an answer for you. I didn't get a vote. If I was to vote, I'd probably say Mata. It's funnier that way. Sort of team performance by them, though. Smeb could pick it up too. I think Smeb or Pawn are the most likely choices.
Well, let's see who it's going to be. It is going to be Mata.
Hey!
You found it. You got it. 4-0-4. Ornn was found this time, though.
He was definitely having a great time on Ornn. Felt like every time his cooldown was up, he would ult, and I looked for the sorcery to mean ultimate hat. No, he was just ulting because he wanted to ult. 96 on the vision score. That means he put down a lot of wards. There's vision score in the game now. If you sweep wards and put down wards, it gives you a vision score. I'm not really sure what a good number is. 96, it's not on a 100 scale, I don't think, but let's pretend it is and say 96%, A+. Nice. For Mata, really well done. What does that sign say, Valdez?
It said, because SKT won, let's win. I don't think she was here earlier.
Because we beat SKT, let's win another game.
Yeah, that is what it says. Okay, you're better at Korean than me this time.
I'm better at inferring from the English, actually. As Mata,
you figured it out.
Playing around with his hand warmer. His hands weren't cold enough to miss any Ornn ultimates, so he's probably feeling pretty good about how game 1 went. Whereas BBQ, again, it wasn't a disaster for them. They can throw out what they did in game 1 and just try again. Try something new.
Yeah, so let's take a look what happens in Pick and Ban. Here we do go. We're not going to be seeing Rise again this time, not with BBQ on the blue side.
What they want at first pick will be very interesting to track here for the BBQ Olivers. Malzahar is the most likely one, but I think KT just banned it away. Don't allow Tempt to have any super comfort. And on his birthday, KT have both mid lane champions that are right square back in the middle of the meta banned away, so Pawn will have to go a little bit deeper this game. Seems like a Galio game is getting more and more likely.
I think it'll definitely be left available, unless they wanted to ban it right now, but you're leaving Kog'Maw up at that point, so gonna go ahead and ban the Kog'Maw. Sejuani taken away. Lots of high-tier picks so far.
Now there is space to ban away the Malzahar here. I feel like with where the draft is at, there's no pick you're really afraid of BBQ to wield, so Malzahar will be banned away. No comfort Malzahar for Tempt. Choice of AD carries, Ezreal and Kalista. Very high, but they're not interested in Pawn playing the Galio. The new Galio meta in Korea continues to be confirmed with every subsequent first or early pick. SKT tried it, did not work in game 2 of their series. We will see BBQ first pick the Galio as well for Tempt.
Yeah, I mean, Galio's definitely simple enough to the point where when it comes back into the meta, it's like, okay, well, I can play this too. I used to play it a lot back when it was popular.
Ezreal Braum could be the selection here. You don't want to take Ornn here because Braum answers it so cleanly on the blue side. Or you could just give up on the support pick, and they will. Hoping to see something other than Braum locked in, and then we could see Mata have another happy, fun time on the Ornn. Look at this. Very early priority onto the Camille. We always mention it's a flex pick, but not in competitive play yet. Big favorite of the junglers in solo queue is the jungle Camille. And a lot of power. This is the KT special on the blue side. It was Galio, Kha'Zix, Kalista every game they could get it, and then to pile on at 2 items into the game. See what KT makes of it. And Zoe's available, but not necessarily fantastic into the Galio. He says, well, I want to have my first competitive game on the Zoe. Try and do a better job than Crown could against a Galio yesterday.
It almost feels that way, you know, because Crown just did not look great on the Zoe against Galio, and we were even talking about it before. And then he picks it into the Galio. So maybe he just wants to have a little bit of fun on his birthday. I'm sure that he can find a way to make it work a little bit better than Crown did.
Galio Kha'Zix, best friends forever, going to be denied away from the side of BBQ. And yep, he's back.
I love that they bring the picture too, right? They're just poking at Twitch chat. You guys know what to do.
Waiting on the first ban from BBQ here in the second round. Not interested in Tom Kench. Always surprising when Braum makes it this far down. Braum will be great for BBQ to try to interrupt some of the Zoe shenanigans. Happy Pawn Day.
Happy Pawn Day. Can you say it again, Papa?
I said pawn. That's the
okay.
word.
All right.
I'm going to keep saying it. It's definitely one of those things where if you remove the esports context, and we've been talking about something else far too much on this stream. Zach's going to be banned away. Trick's most played jungler and another of the engaged trio. Remember, Hextech Ultimatum and Galio ult is some guaranteed knockups, so a lot of engage coming through from the BBQ side. And into the Taric. So no one's buying this Braum supremacy that I'm really trying to peddle over here.
I feel like some people are. Some teams are.
He's pretty ridiculously good at the present point in competitive play especially. And it seems like Mata agrees.
Yeah, I mean, they banned it last time in the last pick and ban, so if they get a chance here, they're going to pick it up. That sign said, let's go home before the final train.
Plenty of time right now. Final training going to be a little bit around midnight, so unless we're going late into game 3, perhaps we are going to be lucky on that one. There's no top lane yet locked in for Smeb. Gonna have to be a blind pick from the side of BBQ. And the AoE fun times are not going to end, apparently.
Who are they going to grab for this support role then? I suppose it could be a Camille support, but haven't seen that one in professional Korean play.
Why don't you just play Alistar and go all in on Engage?
I like the idea.
At this point, you have 4 champions about Engage. Be a famous pick for IgNar. He's looking for his champion. Where's he going? He's going to be back to the Shen. Okay, some more globals then. They got semi-globals and true globals all over the map with the happy fun times, the bouncy castle of the Galio knockup, and also the Fate's Call. Now, we saw Kingzone play against a similar comp from SKT and run Nidalee jungle and try to just take skirmishes, and skirmishes are still very powerful with this comp. I wonder what Smeb is going to lock in. Outside chance to Jarvan top, but we saw him screaming about the Maokai that led them to their first telecom victory. Could just go for the ever-reliable Maokai and just try to take out someone like the Kalista early in the fight.
That will be the case. Should be very good in the lane against Vladimir. Just heal up against the harass, get some magic resist, just chill in the lane, and do your job as a supportive top lane tank.
So poke disengage from KT Rolster. They have Zoe and Ezreal under turrets, which is insane line damage to have to respect. But the engage from BBQ is guaranteed if they see gap close coming through from the jungle. It will be our first jungle Camille, we should confirm. Coming through from Trick. We'll talk a little bit about the build that we're seeing in solo queue on that one as we roll on. While KT have good engage, largely you want to play around Zoe, Ezreal, Siege, and disengage. That's the way you prefer to use the Maokai ultimate, the Braum ultimate. Jarvan can threaten engage and then just EQ away. True team fights, unless they're really well played, unless there's a pick to start. 5v4 certainly for KT, but 5v5, tricky.
Yeah, and especially when we saw like how far ahead KT was in that first game, there's no doubt in my mind that KT could take control in this game number 2 and just make BBQ play their game. And as you said before, it's 2 differing styles, so that's the last thing BBQ wants to do. We'll see if they can stand up against KT's idea. coming into game number 2 here.
They get a do-over. You know, game 1 was so quickly gone that it wasn't sort of game to break your mental like FLICKR's loss, you know, nail-biting loss to KSV yesterday. BBQ should be able to put it to one side, try again. But Pawn is playing the Zoe for the first time, and it seems like they want to just style on BBQ for a quick 2-0.
We'll see if they can actually make it work. That Zoe Ezreal combination, as you said, can be pretty hilarious at times. I'd like to see it happen here in game number 2. Looks like the game is all ready to go. The countdown has started. Let's jump into game number 2. Here we go, game number 2 between KT and BBQ.
AT were looking for a catch onto Crazy, but we get to talk about it every time he's in the game. And even in game 1 when he wasn't, the Braum level 1 point was relevant here. Mata, interesting, has gone for Exhaust, so trying to ruin, I would imagine, Camille in the early game, then maybe Vladimir in the late game with that Exhaust. We almost always see Ignite for lane control.
Yeah. Exhaust, I suppose, can help against a level 1 flash taunt Shen engage as well.
Excuse me, it was a taunt flash, not a flash taunt.
Sorry. Wasn't sure about that one. But yeah, suppose it can do pretty well against that if they decide to go 100% all in.
On the Zoe. Lots of wave clear between these two, but not a lot of kill pressure onto the Galio. That was the pick that was taken into the Zoe from Crown and did very well for the side of FLICKR. They go on to lose that game, but it wasn't the Galio's fault. So let's talk about Jungle Camille. Very big pick. Ever since the start of this season, I was talking about it because right before the season started, I had to go into solo queue, dip in, and say, okay, what are people playing on the patch? Camille was, 14 games at the time from blank in recent memory, most of them in a row. A lot of other junglers playing it. Spirit, I believe, was the first. Spirit is, if you guys don't know, a mad scientist. He loves to try things in the jungle. We don't forget the Lulu.
Level 2 coming on up to the top lane. He's got the red buff too, but he doesn't get anything out of Smeb, who doesn't even flash.
I mean, Smeb's lane spacing is probably the best of any laner we have in Korea. And right now, of course, talking about the best top lane is very difficult with Khan in massive form. But when it comes to actually how to play the lane, where to stand, Smeb has always really stood out as the most impressive to me. So hugging the top side for the level 2 gank that came through from Trick. Yeah, very popular with Spirit, very popular with a lot of junglers in Korea. The build is a very offensive one. It's Warrior Enchant into Trinity Force, so it's a carry build coming from the jungle. You max E as well, so it doesn't necessarily help you with your clear, but it's huge burst damage. EQW, so not W for clearing the monsters like you might imagine. Very much about the E, it's about the ganking, so expect to see Trick very proactive around the Rift.
Score coming in here, looking to take away some chickens from the BBQ Olivers. Standing on a ward now is Trick. He is seen, and Zoe's going to get over there first. So Score just taking everything that he can. Hits level 4 as well.
There was no surprise from Score that the Raptors were up. You can see from the level 2 timing and know that the path, once you expose yourself at level 2, the downside is if the gank doesn't come off, it's so obvious what your next jungle camp's in order will be. That's very simple for the enemy jungler to push up, take a camp, get it for free, and get a level advantage. And that's what we see from Score. And because we don't have catch-up experience in the game anymore, as the patches are rolled on, and on patch 8.1 especially, means that it is just a meaningful lead now. 2.5 camp lead for Score over Trick.
I mean, we see the result in the top lane of the gank, and the result is really not that much. Yeah, he's 6 creeps behind, but it's not the end of the world for a Maokai who's not looking to scale up to 1,000,000 items. As long as he survives and he has his summoners available for the future, he's doing just fine.
Look at IgNar, he's being smart. He's not going to bait himself into Demolish Proc. He's not even getting range of the turret. Smart man. He's learning.
Coach went in there between the games. He's like, never again. Not even once. Don't even attack the turret. Just stay back.
Smeb is on the Maokai, like you were mentioning. Usually the playstyle here is if you get your own gimmicky level 2 gank, maybe you make it work up top side, but otherwise let Maokai build a Righteous Glory, a Spectre's Cowl, and BK. Doesn't really need an expensive build. So you kind of get one visit from your junglers. You have to make it work. One and done is kind of how it goes with Jarvan when it's dealing with the Maokai. Going to help Smeb push in. Just a Q. As skill shot accuracy been good from Pawn.
Yeah, he's been on points here.
He's trying to bait out the... Oh, let's hold on to this.
Okay. Baits the flash out. Pretty necessary there. You don't want to get caught up in all that CC, even with the Galio low. Pawn, though, is not scared to just walk up to them. And okay, we got a bit of a engage onto Trick, although it is Camille, so Score knows that he can't just kill her right now.
And the shield comes up, so like you say, Electrocute Pop is not going to be enough. They back away, turn to some normalcy. Good lane control from Pawn against the Galio. Doesn't quite get non-interactive till the Negatron Cloak comes through, and that's going to be a little while from now. It's a little bit of health and AP coming through from the second Doran's Ring.
One of the cool things that Pawn did in lane against Tempt was Sleepy Trouble Bubble right as Tempt was about to go for the cannon minion. And so just made it so he missed out on a bunch of gold underneath his turret that he normally should have been able to get.
Storm is still gathering, by the way, for Tempt. Didn't get any value from that in the previous game. It feels like 40 minutes when you really feel good about the Gathering Storm. 30 minutes is decent. But giving up the lane control of Scorch is something that a lot of people won't do. If you're taking Jace, for example, and your job is to bully lane, you definitely go Scorch instead of the Gathering Storm. And if you're facing IgNar, you just take Gathering Storm on all 5 members, such as the meme goes. But against KT Rolster, a team who have really always been about the early game, it is an uphill struggle to get maximum value out of the Gathering Storm.
I love the sounds on this Zoe skin. She only has one skin currently, if I'm not mistaken.
You're correct.
And it's quite nice, the sounds particularly.
I feel like your skins you love are different to most people's.
You don't like the skin?
Not really.
I mean, notice how I didn't say it looked amazing, right? Like the skin is, it's all right on looks, I'd say. It's not terrible for me.
But you're not one to judge on looks, right, Valdez?
Yeah, no, of course not. Only sounds.
How does that help you when you're using a dating app or something?
You know, got to get the phone number quick. That's the only way you can know, Papa. Got to go for the digits.
That was a way better answer than I expected. Nice one, Valdez.
Got to have some fun in an early game like this. It's not really like the game number 1. As
Not
it's
yet.
Maokai for Smeb this time.
There's a potential ultimatum and entrance to be cast as Galio is cheating bot side. We always talk about the need for control vision and the side you want to be playing. They don't have control vision, but they do have a square of vision around the bot side. Winning with a global champion in the mid lane does involve a River Ward and also a ward around the other exit there to guarantee that whether you're in range or not for the hero's entrance, is not available to the enemy team. Any advanced knowledge and the threat of the all-in becomes so much less, as Trick has actually put points equally between Hookshot and Q, expecting him to max Hookshot, and he could still go that way.
We got the push going on down here. You can see that Mata has indeed brought the spellbook. He has unleashed it, and he's only the second person in the game to do so, along with Pawn. Generally, you see a bunch more. I feel like we've gotten past the point where we talk about how many members have inspiration in the cast. You know, we were doing that for a while in the beginning, just because it was something to mention, but now it just seems so commonplace. But the supports taking it is kind of interesting.
8 stopwatches as well is a big number.
8.
8 this time.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
Only Galio and Maokai, the true tanks of the game, deciding against it. Oh, sorry, Maokai has Galio and Braum, my mistake.
Yeah. It's so interesting how every Braum gets biscuit delivery. Honestly, I don't really get it.
I mean, his early laning phase, not fantastic, so I think having the option is not a bad thing necessarily. I believe that's in position of demolish, if I'm not mistaken, but regardless, is Doing just fine for the Braum. The teleport makes me think of just crazy teleport plays with the Glacial Fissure, so I'm hoping we see some inventive stuff from Mata.
Yeah. I suppose with Braum, you're not necessarily like getting right into the action to the point where you would absolutely need a stopwatch. You know, comparatively to someone like Alistar, where you might sometimes get right in there. Nicely done, and that's going to be the combination coming on in here. IgNar's even getting in there. Can Score get away? There's the Cataclysm, but he does not get out of there. As he doesn't flash, he gets taunted. First blood goes over to IgNar.
The obituary for that Jarvan would have been really grim reading. So many ultimates used to kill him, but they do register the kill nonetheless. Shen ult, Galio ult, everything layered on to pick up the kill. And nice harass onto Pawn, who has an extra flash, so it doesn't actually get punished in terms of summoners there.
Doing a very good job so far after getting all of the magic resist you were talking about. Even the Merc Treads coming on into the Galio.
It's really well done by Trick, who interrupted the flag and drag with the stun, and then from there ultimatum, and everything else was guaranteed. A lot of ultimates, but does mean that BBQ hold a gold lead. We're going to see the replay. If Score gets out, then it's fine. But the first interrupt into basically melee range, then all the other ults are guaranteed. The Shen ult, in hindsight, probably wasn't necessary, but they do get the ult and flash out of Jarvan, who kind of should have known he was doomed there.
Yeah. I think the Shen ult just secured it, you know, because he did have his flash available, and if he didn't get taunted, there was a small chance that he would get out alive. I like that the Observer is not looking at the top lane anymore. It's like, okay, Spirit Visage is completed. We don't need to even check it out anymore. We have a Zoe and Ezreal in the game.
Pawn doesn't have Void Staff, but even through Negatron Cloak, doing some decent damage in the mid lane. Again, heavy damage build expected from Trick, who now has the 3 points into the hook shot. We also get to look at the runes. Happy times. Relentless Hunter, so the out-of-combat movement speed is his choice of the snowbally last runes there in Domination. Otherwise, very, very standard. Definitely piece this one together. Yeah, full damage. We don't have a lot of Warrior Trinity Force junglers in competitive play, but unless he's going to make a right turn from the solo queue builds. Whenever I look in solo queue, that's how they're going.
I haven't tried my hand at Jungle Camille just yet, but maybe I will. Playing stuff like Kha'Zix, Jarvan. You know me, I only really play the high tier stuff. I've been playing some Skarner.
He's strong.
You were talking about Skarner.
He's definitely strong. I'm surprised the Korean junglers haven't been messing around with Emax, W second max, Skarner. He can be very flexible with builds, and I think he is very powerful at the moment, but Koreans, I feel like, are very slow on the jungle picks especially. Ivern, for example, not a thing here. For a long time, Kindred, for example, wasn't that appreciated when it was popular in other regions. We're a little bit slower with junglers, and then things eventually come together. There's certainly flavors of the month if One Trick's doing well in solo queue, but otherwise, we don't see as many inventive jungle picks. The Jungle Jax was the last big one that was a Korea exclusive.
And we've seen our fair share of Jarvan jungles.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you fill of those?
Every single day, you get one. I think there was we see it banned even sometimes.
Well, good news. The Jarvan jungle has less damage these days, as it seems like everyone's followed the ambition school of thought and started going Cinderhulk.
So, seems like the runes for Ghost were incorrect.
So we assumed that it was the Fleet Footwork. That was the icon up before, but it's Lethal Tempo. This is the new favorite.
Okay.
Kramer was running it yesterday. I believe Deft was running it as well. All about overcapping on attack speed in the team fights. Means that your laning presence is a bit weaker, but yes, Ezreal Braum, clearly nothing to worry about. Up in CS with what is usually a team fight rune is happy times for Ghost.
You get to jump around a lot. Attack very fast.
And Pawn is the one who may actually be at risk here in team fights, because when you see Vladimir, who's free farming, of course, nothing that Maokai can do to stop that, you can expect a FLICKR-esque Vladimir in the backline trying to assassinate the no escape mid laner. Ezreal, a lot more maneuverable, but On will have to have hope that he's done adequate poking before the fight starts, otherwise the flanking is very, very powerful from the side of BBQ.
Well, first Cloud Drake. First Drake is a Cloud Drake, I should say. So nobody's really putting high priority on that right now. The Cloud Drake would help out some picks on the side of BBQ. Even on the side of KT, just to get away from some of the threats.
1Q does about 30% of Trick's HP. Always good to keep that in the back of the mind, because as the game goes on, that number gets bigger.
Yeah, he's on one item right now.
Kuro was doing obscene damage, almost one-shotting 80 carries with the Q. Lichbane not a big pick here in Korea, though. I noted that I didn't see any Lichbane from any of our Zoe players in recent memory.
Yeah, Lichbane can be kind of hilarious on some picks, such as Zoe. Also, Veigar, when you get like ridiculous amounts of AP. Not that you're going to be stepping up and hitting the turrets if it's like in a competitive game, but you do a lot of damage to the turrets.
Do they have enough damage for this to mean anything? Not going to be a factor, just going to clear the ward there. Trick walks up, spotted by zombie wards. So we're trading vision control here. Right now it is two-man invade from Trick and IgNar. Duo that came back from Europe. They have good control around the bot side. And the reason why they do such deep vision play and a lane ward, screaming out teleport gank. Valdez screaming out, just finishing off this turret here and trying to ice what has been a good laning phase for Ghost and IgNar on the bot side. But now KT opt out of it. They will not be staying in lane. That's why Trick is just waiting to walk up and queue.
Yep, there it is. Gonna come on in and take out that first turret. Gonna give the gold to, did any of that actually go to Ghost?
Yeah, he got an assist on it.
Yeah.
He got an assist on it, didn't get the primary kill.
Okay.
Should also mention that Trinity Force not going to be the first to rush here for Trick. He's got Jerome's Fist, so Steric's Gauge expected to ensure that he stays in place and extends the ultimatum duration for Galio and friends to join in.
Well, it's harder to move from a very fast game into a very slow game. We've had a bunch of times where the first game was very slow, and then it goes into a very fast one. But not this time around. Sitting back on our 1 kill. Back to the norm here in game 2.
It's a really tricky draft for KT to play against. They don't have a carry top laner for Score to really trade upon. They are dealing with multiple globals, so they have to be respectful in lane. Those sort of all-in trades, those skilled trades we saw from first Khan in our first series and Smeb even on the Jace. I mean, the turnaround potential here is hookshot out of nowhere into Hero's Entrance into death. So it has to be a lot more ordered from KT Rolster. And credit to BBQ so far. They've been able to put down vision smartly. They've never taken the Drake, but they have controlled the pace of the game. They're standing gold. In the top lane, very low turret just out of the camera angle right here. The bot lane turret is already down. They're advancing their vision line. So far, so good from BBQ.
Yeah, good looks for them, especially against a team as strong as KT. That's the fun thing about LCK this year is that I feel like pretty much anyone who's not MVP, sorry MVP, has a chance against any of the top-level teams, at least to win one game. Teams such as BBQ adding new guys to the roster, looking better overall, playing more as a team. Rocks Tigers, some cool compositions.
Yeah, I mean, with Rocks Tigers, it's really just seasoning, right? They haven't really changed the roster. Kuzan in, but not playing. They've trimmed out some of their roster members, look better. So Rocks Tigers have been the biggest surprise to me from expectation. BBQ could have taken this Trick a lot earlier, but we're focused on the first turret of the game, extending some of the lanes so that Trick can come from different angles, and thus the Hero's Entrance and the bouncy castle onto KT. So turret first, I think that's a good priority. 100% kill participation for the 1 kill.
He, along with 2 other members, they didn't even show the guy that had the kill, who was the first blood. Generally, that's what they do, but not this time. SpoTV keeping you guys on your toes.
We've got to celebrate the few things you can celebrate this game. I celebrate the macro, which is harder to show in a player camera reaction, but I like how BBQ played this game. They didn't get to play much League of Legends in the first game, dictated to by KT Rolster, but this time a lot more standard macro stuff. KSV-esque at this point, but actually ending the game or speeding up the pace of the game is still recommended. KT's optimal playstyle of poking with vision control is looking kind of impossible for the foreseeable future, as they don't want to opt into face checking any brush against this very intimidating BBQ engage comp.
Yeah, and you were talking about this top turret. Down it goes. Give that gold over to Ghost. And they haven't at least been able to take out that mid-tier one, so a big part of map control for KT still remains in the mid lane.
Wave clear, wave clear, wave clear for Tempt, but Pawn opted into this one, remember. He's the one who drafted Zoe into Galio. So Galio was a counter pick, so we were a bit surprised to see the Zoe pick, but on Pawn's birthday, I guess he got a bit more latitude, or maybe he knows something about the game that we don't.
It still has very high potential against other picks, you know, like chunking a Kalista or even chunking the Vlad, who definitely needs time to like get through his entire rotation of spells. If you can chunk him down before he's ready to truly get through the entire rotation.
I just think that you need kind of 2 to 3 of those swishies to justify playing around the Galio, which was always going to be a downer in lane. And given that they only have kind of one, the Vladimir won't actually take the paddle star that often because he has the pull as well. Did seem a bit tone deaf to what I was seeing about the draft from BBQ. Smeb also taking the Maokai into the Vlad is all about teleport plays, and so far his teleport has not been used.
Look at the damage here on the side of BBQ. Basically only Vlad has damage.
And all of it's to Maokai.
Yeah. The Maokai just heals it back up. Deft flashed, but he's still in range. He's going to get comboed down. He does have his stopwatch available, though, and here comes Score from behind, trying to knock him up, but in goes Trick. Tempt in the front as well. Smeb comes from behind, but Trick is going to go down here. He went a little bit too far forward. Tempt's now getting low. Pawn jumping on in, but Crazy now trying to get in front. Gets Deft, who pushed a little bit too far forward. Smeb out of mana. Zoe trying to help him out here. It looks like this should be a 2-for-1. No, Smeb is going to flash over. And they do just barely survive in the end.
In fact, this was so late in the game, the stopwatch has got insane value, specifically for Deft, who bought so much time, even during the ultimatum. You won't be able to recreate that if you're Deft in the future. It's only a one and done for the stopwatch. Going 1-for-1 when BBQ are strongest doesn't change the game, but it doesn't accelerate the lead for BBQ. Watch the replay here. And this is the example of a stopwatch that gets lots of value. BDD did not in the earlier game on Rise. But at the start here, it looks like Deft is going to be bursted down. But stopwatches the Shen Torn, able to open up space, does not die in all of this. And crazily, the first kill is actually onto Trick. Burst down after the Q from Smeb.
Yeah.
As the fight goes on, we don't have Void Staff on Pawn. He's only poking, and Crazy and Tempt are unkillable in the front line for now. A lot of resources expended by both sides, but mostly by the side of KT because Stopwatch is no longer available. It's a pretty big thing for them to have to give up. And again, the fact that you can't buy it again and no Zonias is expected is a pretty big cost for KT.
Yeah. They're going for another engage here onto the Galio, who hasn't lost any health yet, but here we go. Finally losing some health. Not enough in the end. Barely even half of his health. I want to point out that that fight started earlier because Deft arcane shifted forward and he didn't have vision of anyone else who was there. And there were 3 members of BBQ. If he doesn't have a stopwatch in the future and he's going to be engaging like that, he's just going to straight up die. And that's one of the good things about this Camille in the composition is, especially against an Ezreal who can be slippery, you can lock him down. And Deft's positioning, I feel like in this game is going to be very important. I
mean, as Ezreal, to justify the pick, you have to be a bit more optimistic just because you have those escapes, but a lot of the ones that work against basically any other champion do not work against the effects of the Hextech ultimatum. So I take your point, even with QSS, he's going to have to be very on point with his positioning, and basically KT can't fight whenever we see Trick out of vision. If they can't see Trick, there's so much threat onto Deft especially.
Void Staff picked up here for Pawn. So he's going to begin to deal with the frontline tankier members of BBQ that you were talking about. Will definitely begin to have somewhat of an impact in these fights.
Still kind of one AP item away from where he'd want to be in terms of mixed damage to tanky and squishy members alike. But I think still the right purchase, especially with a super tank in the mid lane. And speaking of purchases, once again, Tempt is purchasing some ability power on the Galio, has a Merlinomicon here. Maokai's healing is kind of out of whack, so that's one of the things it does target down.
They really wanted this red buff for Deft. He's going to get it in the end. Going to give that over. He's kind of low on mana.
And damage.
Yeah.
With the QSS, his Blade of the Ruin King is going to be delayed, and that's going to be a lot of his damage in the mid to late game.
BBQ sitting at a healthy lead here of about 4,500 gold. They're looking for their second Drake of the game. Large amount of that gold, again, just comes from the turrets that they've taken out. 3 turrets have gone down.
Waiting to see what the next Drake spawn is. KT have been a bit fortunate that after surrendering the early game and surrendering, a dominant early game comp like BBQ's, they haven't been punished by the rolls. Just a Cloud and an Ocean so far. Only one more Drake to spawn before we get the Elder. And it's going to be another Ocean. So while the Elder Dragon will potentially be of high value with 3 stacks, if BBQ can take the next one, it's at least not going to be immediate stacks or immediate stats that KT have to respect.
Deft's trying to make his way towards pushing that mid lane. We're getting a lot of time here in the side lane of the 2 top laners who made it down to bottom. Already the tier 2 turret has gone down. Crazy is making some dents in that lane. Smeb having a little bit more trouble there.
Able to hit the Bramble Vest and feel good about it as engage on the score.
Okay, he's going to Hextech Ultimatum and put everything onto the tanky Jarvan here. Gets caught out by all the CC. Can they actually kill him, though? They will. Cataclysm comes down, and KT decides they're not ready to go in yet. They will chunk out Tempt, and Crazy gets out of position, forced to flash, but still the kill goes over to BBQ.
It was a 5v4 though. Smeb wasn't there, didn't teleport because Jarvan had given up his life. The enemy smite is dead, so this is a time for BBQ to consider starting Baron. They have good vision control around the world. Sorry, around the pit.
All around the world.
All around the world of the Baron. This is the right start, but let's watch Crazy, see if there's a flank.
Well, they have so much poke. It's pretty out of control here. Already you can see Trick and Tempt even getting very low, so they just give up on it. They know that they couldn't quite do it. The death timers aren't super low yet. Scorer ready to go now.
And the turn when Galio ult is down is not that great. The turn kind of requires the Vladimir to really be slowing down and threatening multiple members. So good zoning by Pawn to stop that from happening.
I feel like Deft is always low on mana. Did go for the Manamune, but still using those spells when they're off cooldown.
In terms of absolute numbers, though, we can see 600 mana on him still, so
yeah.
For now, at least, going to be just fine. Just really hoping to poke, get Klepto procs, and get closer to the Blade of the Ruin King so he can come online with a bit of damage. Blade into a Last Whisper item is probably where he wants to go, so he can threaten multiple members of the side of BBQ.
Damage taken this time. You can see the damage on Maokai and Camille, but we have the Baron started once again. 4 members. It looks like Pawn is a bit out of position, not able to poke early on. And Vladimir are Crazy looking for that flank. They want to turn. They get onto Deft here once again. No stopwatch this time around. Trick, though, getting low. And Deft this time is going to be able to Arcane Shift out. Look at those low members. The True Shot Barrage gets 2 of them. And now they're just trying to run. The flash forward from Pawn. He wants to get that kill.
Got him. He's dead.
Yes, he will. With that sleep, he is going to go down. And he's going to flash once again. This is the Zoe that we all know and love. Gonna ultimate forward. There's the double kill as Pawn finally finds some success in this game.
KT outplays BBQ really hard. They are not able to capitalize on Ezreal being ultimatumed or knocked up. And from there, Pawn was raining down artillery from far away, able to threaten any member with the Void Staff now completed. And now it's KT's turn on the Baron.
They should have their way with it. Pawn's low, but he is slippery as hell. And no jungler for a while here for BBQ.
Smeb has flash to turn as well.
Wow, he just went really far. Gonna get onto Tempt here. They're trying to wombo combo, and they will 100%. They get the Jarvan and the Braum and make that another one. Deft goes down. Maybe KT getting a little bit too frisky this time, too overconfident, and now it's BBQ's turn again.
Yeah, mistake from KT Rolster. They're starting the Baron with smart, but they stuck on it for too long, and then allowed Crazy to walk up with no ghost, no flash, and Hebo played them. That was just crazy from the side of KT Rolster, but they opt into the Vladimir very easily. It's going to be a Baron for BBQ against the run of play.
It's unbelievable how fast the game can turn at times. That's a very good example. They win a fantastic team fight, KT does, and then they go on the Baron and they throw 3 members away, give the Baron away as well.
It's really bizarre stuff from KT because, as we said a couple of times, Deft's low mana, the health bars aren't the healthiest either. And how is Crazy able to walk up and ult Deft and Mata? It seems insane. But he's able to go into the front line. He also assassinates Deft, and the back line does Crazy. Sure, if KT's poking and Smeb and Pawn both have mana, they can make things happen. But there they didn't. They bit off more than they could chew, and BBQ punished them in just the way they should have.
It really all started by, not respecting the Galio, who just charged in and got a 4-man taunt. That gave Crazy all the space in the world to just walk on up and be like, hey guys, what's up? I'm here to do damage. I'm free farm, super high damage Vlad from earlier. You may remember me.
Now he's got his sweet hat. He's also got his ghost to flank. He knows he's not going to have to teleport flank. It's all going to be about a turret dive here by the Vladimir, most likely. Hemo playing onto both Pawn and Deft. And you have to think that whatever other follow-up there is, it's probably a 1-team fight from the side of BBQ Olivers. 7,000 gold lead. KT had just got themselves back in the game and surrendered so much with their misplay around Baron.
BBQ, and as good an opportunity they have to take out KT Rolster in one game here. They got Tempt pushing top. Gonna take out that mid-tier 1. They finally get that one.
Worst nightmare of a poke comp is to lose Baron. Baron with a poke comp, almost impossible to play against. When you have a poke comp like KT largely does, and you're against Baron, everything you're good at becomes, basically useless. There is no space to poke with such a big minion line for BBQ to hide behind when it comes to the trouble bubbles attempting to hit. So for now, BBQ can always set in the turret dive. We can see Crazy on the right of our screen.
Yeah, they're looking for it. Coming into taunt. Trick taking a bunch of damage though early on. He's gonna get knocked up. He's gone. Going a little bit too far forward. This time score will get low, but this is a good team fight for KT so far. But here comes Crazy from the right side. You got to look at him. Tempt, he is going to go for that Zhonya's. IgNar getting in low now. Going a little bit too far. Fate's Call is going to save
Crazy
him for now. Here comes Crazy from behind. There's a 3-man ultimate. Let's see how much damage he can get done. He's able to take out the Jarvan and the Ezreal. That's that fed Vladimir that we love. Coming in from behind with the flank. Gets 1, gets 2. Now they're just looking for the slow onto Smeb so that they can get an extra kill. The rest of them will go for objectives.
Big win there for the Vladimir. He was chased out of it 2 times, 3 times, but KT, just like around Baron, kept going. They were never going to stop what they were doing as Smeb, just buying time and lasts hilariously long. Still, with him dead, Pawn cannot wave clear in front of Crazy. He will die to a full Tides of Blood and a Q. Mata will help out. They won't break the base, at least in the top lane. Crazy took a long time to get into the fight. It was well patrolled, first by an E from the Maokai, and then Braum spending all of his time interrupting Crazy. But exhaust is not going to stop. This free-farmed Vladimir sends Deft into the death chamber solo, and now the base is broken in 2 spots.
Okay, they're going to put on a defense, or they will try here. Break is, the base is broken. Finally got that one out. Only 1 inhibitor, though, does go down. This bottom inhibitor turret, though, getting quite low. And they will push him out eventually. But you guys can see the damage done. 12,000 gold ahead is BBQ. And KT, it's going to be up to them to try to just turtle on their poke comp from here and hope that BBQ makes some more mistakes, because it's not looking good outside of that.
I mean, base defense for KT is super, super hard. They don't have great wave clear. Paddle Star against Baron buff doesn't do enough. Ezreal, famously, one of the few ways to punish him is his lack of wave clear. They have two engaged champions in Maokai and Jarvan that was supposed to be used as disengage while Pawn and Deft rained hell from above on turrets, not when they are trying to defend their own turrets. And BBQ also wait for Crazy to have Ghost Flash. He Ghost Flashes at the enemy. They have to run back. Either Nexus goes down or kills are sent the way of BBQ. You're going to see the replay here, and they do a really good job initially, KT, of stopping the Vlad. Vlad, for now, he's the person you are watching. He's going to be the MVP of any fight. He auto-attacks the inhibitor turrets a couple of times, comes in, and then he's chased away by the Maokai sapling. Then he's also chased away by Mata. He happy foots again and again. That's why BBQ and KT looks pretty equal, but this time he needs no further interruption. Gets in the back line. Deft has a health bar. Not anymore. He's dead from just one round of spells from the Vladimir. KT got baited by how well the fight appeared to be going, but it was 5v4, and importantly not, with the 6-item Vladimir available to add damage.
He's getting out of control. This is when the Vladimir on the other team, your solo queue game, just carries 1v9, and it feels like you can't really do much. Even though the Zoe can poke him down, he's strong enough now to just, you know, get a bunch of his health back from the minions and be totally fine. Even without the Baron buff at this point, BBQ having a very easy time pushing in the waves. Going now for this bottom inhibitor. And they got Baron in a minute too, so they don't even have to fully push it. Only one auto away. They will just move in, take it. Probably go for this top inhibitor as well. And then go back to the Baron.
Pretty straightforward stuff from BBQ. They have every option in the book. Even diving with this comp is recommended when Ghost and Flash are up for Crazy. If you can get Deft and Pawn in the Hemo Plague, they will either die or be forced back into the fountain. Crazy doesn't need a Lich Bane when you have this much ability power this early into the game. His auto attacks are like Lich Banes every time. For now, at least, BBQ are being respectful, but it doesn't really matter what KT does. They put themselves too far behind. 13,000 gold against a team that team fights better than they do is too far. Simply put, we're just waiting on BBQ to find a chance they like, and why not take a free Baron first before trying to end the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's KT you're facing, right? Looks like they're going to bait. We'll see what KT can do to avoid this.
KT have both the flag and the Mystic Shot to check Brush, so very difficult to pull off the Brush camp against them. Very easy to pull the turn off against them if Vladimir is not actually on the Baron and ready to goes flash after the members of KT.
You can see he's at the Wolves now. They don't need his damage to do this Baron. Oh, that's some incredible damage right now.
Yep.
If they decide to go in towards the Baron, Crazy just comes from behind and wipes the team. And KT very smartly says, we don't want any of that. We're just going to let you have it. Try for the steal with the True Shot Barrage against the Kalista. Obviously not going to work. They let that one go. And now they're just waiting for BBQ to make that move.
But KT has games like this sometimes where they draft bizarrely. At the end of the day, Maokai into Vlad and Zoe into Galio. You kind of need more explanation. You kind of want to be like, what's going through your brain here? Because it doesn't necessarily make the comp come together. They do have options if things go well for them. But if they fall behind, you just straight up lose with a comp like this. There's no way for them to turn around realistically. Vladimir's damage numbers here is full Tides of Blood is doing 1,400 damage-ish. And the Hemo Plague makes it more by 10%, so that's scary. It's a free lane to the Vladimir, a free lane to the Galio, and then Vladimir kills everyone. What else was going to happen?
Yeah.
If your best hope is the Zoe gets randomly fed from some Jarvan ganks and we start sieging and it all works out, that's great. But if you draft like this 10 times, you lose more than 5 times.
Certainly feels very birthday man for Pawn on that pick. I mean, the Zoe into the Galio, we've seen it doesn't work before. They're trying to catch some members alone against some of the globals. I mean, IgNar still has his Stand United. And, well, you can see the damage that goes on to score. They're going to lose another inhibitor. Ghost and Trick moving forward as Score does not want any part of this fight anymore.
3 inhibitors down again. Minion waves crashing at the same time. BBQ can go Rambo. They can try to just poke from range. They don't have massive range. 550 on the Kalista, all they really have, but she's getting some autos in here. KT don't have engage options. Slow, inevitable end to what should be an almost 100% certain third game of the series.
Yeah. The only way I can see is if somehow Crazy makes a big mistake, like he doesn't zone his in time, he pulls or he gets burst down by Zoe and he messes up the fat fingers or something like that. But Crazy is a pro gamer. He is not gold 5. And so we will see him move in eventually.
Waiting for the next load of minions.
Okay, we're going to have Smeb. He's like, okay, just end it already, please. I'm going to go on in and score will as well. The rest of KT says, no, I don't want any of this. I'm going to run away. And unluckily, Braum is going to get caught as well. Looks like BBQ on their way to actually take a game off of KT. Camille disappears, funnily enough. But it's not really going to matter. As Pawn, he's trying to put on that base defense, but he can't quite do it. The Nexus goes down, and we're tied up at 1-1.
Bit of a head scratcher, but congratulations to BBQ. They played that one out very cleanly. They got the lead with the team, with globals, with engage, and they made smart choices. Even their macro choices from ahead are worth complimenting. From behind, BBQ have looked lost a couple of games in their losses, but their wins also pretty equally convincing, you'd have to say, whereas KT Rolster, from pick ban, we weren't convinced. We thought maybe in the game they would show us something new. Unfortunately, they did not, and game 3 now beckons. This series goes longer than expected, but I'm excited to see what game 3 holds, even from pick and ban, because clearly Pawn is trying new stuff today.
Yeah, and you talk about, you know, weird compositions, weird picks and pick and ban, and I'd have to say that KT really can't afford to be taking losses like this against a team like BBQ. When the top of the top here in Korea, it's going to come down to not just match score, it's going to come down to game score, indicator points. One loss against BBQ is going to matter in the standings.
But remember, it's the KT roller coaster. That's what Rolster stands for, if you're new to being a fan of KT Rolster. So often after their highest, they also have their falls. Let's see if they can get it together. Draft a bit more conventional against a team they really should be beating days after beating SKT.
Yeah. The excitement didn't stop them from defeating SKT, but perhaps it puts a little bit of a stop here in their series against BBQ. You can see the Vladimir damage is off the charts. And that's pretty much the story of this game. 11
towers to 1, 3 Drakes to 0, 2 Barons to 0. It wasn't a perfect game, but it was the sort of game where from 15 to 20 minutes, you were like, BBQ's probably going to win this, and they did. In this league, we do not have a lot of no-hopers. Right now, the only team without a match victory is MVP, who really has struggled. But everyone else on their day, everyone else who gets the invitation like the draft really did beckon for the side of BBQ, I think can beat everyone else on the right day. No one is going unblemished in this league. There is no perfect team. Even KSV did lose a game to a Freak of Freaks, and KT played with their food. Kind of ironic with the BBQ chickens over here. They played with their food, and they lost.
Yeah, and they do get punished for it. We'll see if they can shore up some of that play here. It seems like only very serious talks in the booth, and Pawn not looking too happy. We'll see how it goes after a quick commercial break before we get to game number 3.